the City podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back another edition of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside the big brother, Ted Keys. The Joseph Aguirre is off for this week, so he'll be back next week discussing more football and those New York Yankees who are struggling, who we are going to talk about in a little while. What's the level of concern? What is our level of concern currently at with the New York Yankees and the recent struggles? As now they only have a 10-game lead. It's amazing how big of a lead they really had in the AL East this year, but they have currently a 10-game lead, even with how poorly they have been playing in the game of baseball. But we are going to continue talking about our division previews, as we kind of say. Last week we were doing the NFC East, the AFC East, talking about that. Then we did the NFC West. Well, next week we'll get into the South, and then we'll talk about the NFC West. We didn't talk about the NFC West. We talked about the AFC West a couple weeks ago. But you can check out Keys to the City on all social media platforms: Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Keys to the City. So follow, comment, like, subscribe, or share. But let's get into it. As we talk this week, the NFC and the AFC North, we will talk about the Green Bay Packers. Are they going to dominate the NFC North, or could we have a dark horse? Could the Detroit Lions make a little surprise, a little headway? They're making some headway right now on HBO. Hard Knocks. If you haven't checked it out, Ted, you should probably get onto it because
I haven't had an opportunity.
You haven't watched it. Wow,
no,
you haven't watched it?
Because I don't have HBO. I have HBO Max.
Ask somebody. Ask your sister. Ask your mother.
Yeah,
they have that. You're missing out. You're missing out right now. But let's get into
I'll just run through them all
Let's get into it to the actual division that maybe other than the AFC West this year could be the most intriguing heading in to this season. And because of two reasons. We look at this division. It's been dominated by controversy with the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson, and the new era in Pittsburgh with Mitchell Trubisky, and maybe the rookie Kenny Pickett could be taking the helm as a new Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. But to me, these are the biggest storylines heading in, Ted. All we've heard about this offseason, especially with these quarterbacks getting paid ridiculous amounts, with Aaron Rodgers getting $50 million, Kyler Murray getting $46 million, Deshaun Watson getting his fully $230 million guaranteed. But, Ted, can we also be think about this, Ted. Last year, we saw the Cincinnati Bengals do something that, well, not many people expected in the beginning of the year. Win the division, but on top of it, to be representing the AFC. Could we actually be saying, could the Bengals be repeating? Or the bigger deal, is it Lamar's situation coming out yesterday and saying he wants to get a contract done before the season? If week 1 happens, that is in actually, the date is 9/11 against the New York Jets. If that date, like an Aaron Judge, if he is not signed, he will not be having talks throughout this entire season. So, Ted, what is the bigger deal to you? Is it Lamar and the contract, or is it the Bengals repeating the bigger deal heading into the season?
I think neither. I don't see either issue as being a big deal. I look at the Lamar situation. I'm like, all right, if there's no contract signed by the week 1, no big deal. He'll play through the season. He has all the power and all the leverages in his hand. All right. He'll play the season. We know guys like Dak Prescott, who had his knee and ankle flipped upside down, still got paid. All right. It won't make a difference. He still will get paid either way. And if not, then the Ravens can franchise him and he can get more money. And we've seen a guy like Kirk Cousins maximize his opportunity.
Are you comparing Kirk Cousins to Lamar Jackson?
It's not about a comparison. It's about
Don't insult him.
Everyone would say, similar to how Darrelle Revis played his career the last couple of years through the New England, the Jets. He played it out perfect. Like, if you were, maybe personality-wise he wasn't, but financially, Revis played the system perfectly. Kirk Cousins has made the most money in the past 5 seasons. Guaranteed. Kirk Cousins. So you want to franchise me next year? No problem. You're going to be paying $35-40 million. And it's going to be 50 to 55 the next year. So Lamar is in a perfect situation for himself. I'm not worried about anything with that. If he gets paid. And here's the other thing, Trev, with Lamar's contract.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the other thing. Every day that the Ravens don't get a deal is more likelihood that someone else gets paid. So if Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert get paid, guess what? Lamar goes, I want more than him. Because we know this. The longer you wait, it's more beneficial to you as a player. Because you're just going to up the ante. Because the first thing Lamar Jackson's going to do when he walks in, and the worst thing that the Browns did when they paid Deshaun Watson is Lamar walks in with his feet up like this, going, well, I want 230 plus, whatever it is, 231, 232. We start with that number. The Browns screwed the system, similar to what the Minnesota Timberwolves did with the Rudy Gobert trade, giving out 1,000 picks. And then the Nets think this is in the same way Kevin Durant, like, hey, we're going to get 6 players, 5 draft picks, and a coach and
Or
the
the Jazz asking for Don. Yeah, right. I got you.
Exactly. So I don't look. Listen, it is a distraction, but I like what Lamar did. He set a deadline. The deal will get done or it won't get done. If it gets done, round of applause, and he's going to get paid. If it doesn't, he's going to play the season. He's going to be motivated. We've seen guys bet on themselves before, similar to what Joe Flacco did for the Ravens. What did he do? He led them to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, got paid. So we've seen guys bet on themselves. Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, other guys that I'm not thinking off the top of my head. It has worked out for him. I'm not worried. Even if Lamar gets hurt, he's still going to get paid. Because if the Ravens don't want to pay him, I bet you there's another 28 teams that would pay him in the league.
I know a team. I know our Big Blue would love to take a guy like.
Oh, absolutely. Come on over, brother. Now,
please come. We would embrace you. Come on.
Now with the Bengals situation repeating, I think. Listen, if they can get to the Super Bowl, if they get to the conference championship, I'll be shocked because now I look at this AFC. This AFC is stacked. We've been talking about it for multiple weeks. We've seen it since the offseason, man, right after the Super Bowl when we saw Russell Wilson go. We saw Devontae Adams. When I was in Florida the first time in March, and you and me were talking live, oh, my God, Tyreek Hill just got traded. Devontae Adams got traded. And we were talking about how stacked the AFC West is. The AFC North is going to be really competitive this year. We know what the AFC brings. So I don't look at any situation.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of teams. I mean, we just had a little funny conversation about quarterbacks. Who's the worst quarterback situation in the league? What team would not want? I mean, Jets, Giants, Bears. I mean, Seattle. I mean, Carolina. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can go. I mean, Minnesota. I mean, just add every team that doesn't have a top 5.
Ted, here's my thing about this whole Lamar situation. You said perfect situation. I would use that term lightly because he isn't in the perfect situation. What if? He's in a good position. He's in a solid. I would say he's more of in a solid situation because he's playing against him. But what if God forbid, knock on wood, because this is the last thing I'd want to happen. What if it's an Earl Thomas situation, and he gets injured and he doesn't get that big contract? That's the. Remember, Earl Thomas was trying to get a big contract, and then he got carted off.
Yeah, but he already got paid.
I know, but he wanted another. I'm saying in the sense that he wanted another extension. He wanted the big, and then he flipped the bird. He flipped the bird. What if God forbid? Hold on. What if God forbid? I know it's a safety. But even more. What if God forbid Lamar gets something to that extent? Say it's like a Dak injury, but worse. Like, what if he does get injured, and then guess what? He's not getting that $230+ million contract that he is so deservingly so because
but he has the leverage.
Ever since he's come to Baltimore, he's 37-12 as a starter. They were 8-4 last year up until he got injured.
They lost the last seed.
They were the number 1 seed. They lost the last 6 games when he went down. I know they lost to Pittsburgh in that crazy late night Sunday game. I know that he's won an MVP, and everybody, well, he can't win in the playoffs. I get it. He's 1-3 right now currently, but this guy is a superstar. This guy makes defenses. You have to change your game plan each and every week to know where number 8 is. Like, that's the thing. That man is so electrifying. Like, we compare him to an actual athlete. He's a quarterback. He could throw the ball. He's improved in his completion percentage per year, and he's a winner. Like, we always like to all we've heard about is Jimmy G this offseason. Where's Jimmy G going to go? Because you know why people are enticed by Jimmy G in a sense? Because he does win. He does win. Lamar wins. He's got one. I know that. That is true. He's never had a true number 1. And that's another thing I was trying to say to you, Ted, too. If everybody that keeps saying they got to go get a receiver, the best available receiver right now is going to be on the shelf for at least the first month, maybe month and a half in Odell Beckham Jr. So you're going to go get him, and you're going to still have to wait. And you got to get that chemistry going. And with the way Lamar's style of play is, and with the way Baltimore, I shouldn't say Lamar style of play. I should say Baltimore style of play. They are a run-heavy, run-first, punch-in-the-mouth type team, and they hit you with the play action. That's what they've been ever since Lamar has been the guy. They've done it with they did it with Flacco, too. They were a play-action type team. They run the ball with Ray Rice, Willis McGahee back in the day. That's what they are. That's what they've been. They bleed on the defense, and they run and pound and ground and pound for 60 minutes on you. You got to pay this man. This man is your franchise. And there's not a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. and Lamar Jackson, we had our top 10 quarterback ranking not too long ago. We both had Lamar Jackson in our top 10 quarterbacks. He's a top 10 quarterback. I know people want to say, "Oh, he's a running back. He's an athlete." No, he's a quarterback. He's been a quarterback since coming in.
Am I shocked that a deal's not done? Yeah, because here's the thing. The way I look at it is every time a deal gets done, like the Kyler Murray deal, here's the thing. He's an MVP. He's one of the best quarterbacks. He's
won an MVP, Ted. I know you said Kirk Cousins and stuff, but
listen, I understand he did not have a successful season last year. But if we're just talking about the Ravens and we're not doing division predictions, we're not doing any of the crazy stuff. But here's the thing. That team had the most injuries in the league last year. They had like 30-plus injuries. They lost their 2 starting running backs before the season even started, all right? Marquise Brown drops the ball every other catch. They really had no number 1. He was more of a slot number 2. Rashad Bateman was a rookie.
Mark Andrews is their number 1. Mark Andrews is
the best guy. So they dealt with multiple injuries last year. And like you said, though, with even that going on, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC up until week 12. Then he gets hurt. They lose the last 6 games. They finish 8-9. This Ravens team is really good. They will be formidable for the Bengals this year. That's why I don't even think the Bengals repeat as the division champ. I think that the Ravens are coming for that crown.
Let's not forget how decimated they were with their injuries last year. They were ranked 32 in health.
J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. They're running backs. What they have? Marcus Peters, safety.
Marlon Humphreys goes down. Ronnie Stanley goes down. Massive players on this team that have huge impact.
Impactful players. So,
I'm actually going to go, Ted, to me, I know you said Lamar, and I kind of was adding to you and going with you, but the Cincinnati Bengals, since we've watched football, since we've actually become grown enough to watch football, the Cincinnati Bengals have been one of those franchises that have been, let's be honest, a laughingstock. They've been always at the bottom of the barrel since the Boomer Esiason days back in the 80s, the first Super Bowl since 1988 they went to last year. This is a team that all we talked about in the offseason. They got to improve, revamp that offensive line. What do? They go get La'el Collins, all-pro type guy. Alex Kappa, all-pro. Ted Karras, all-pro type guys. The biggest problem for them the entire season was their offensive line. This was the same team that had so many difficult games to keep Joe Burrow up because of the fact that their offensive line was so bad, but yet they just did the one thing that was their glaring weakness. If the Cincinnati Bengals can repeat in the division, which has been dominated since we've been watching by the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bengals repeating in the AFC, and especially in this AFC, Ted, and you just talked about it, this AFC that we honestly we can't sit here right now and tell you who's going to come out of the AFC. You can have an argument for a solid 7 to 8 teams of coming out of the AFC. 4 just in the AFC West. 2 of them right here. You got the Buffalo Bills, and then maybe you can add the Indianapolis, and then you got to add the Colts. That's 8 teams right there that all have legitimate cases that could be representing the AFC. This was the AFC reigning AFC champions. They were this close. If Aaron Donald is not blocked, it's just blocked for a couple more seconds, maybe another second, and Joe Burrow finds Jamar Chase down the sidelines as he was wide open over Jalen Ramsey, we could be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals as currently the Super Bowl champs of the football world. To me, Lamar's contract is a huge deal because of the fact that how huge he is for the success of that team and how electrifying and how great he's been since coming into this league. They have to pay him. They have to. You don't want to deal with that lingering throughout the season. I know that maybe it's not going to, but the Bengals repeating to me would be a huge deal because I think I can speak for both of us. It's probably the second best division in football right now going into the season, only behind the AFC West.
Oh,
so if the Bengals repeat,
I think this division is
this division's always great. It's a blood type, punch in the mouth division.
Imagine how good this division would be if Deshaun Watson did screw up and did have the situation that he's currently constructed under. Because you're thinking, you're looking at that division, you're like, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. Okay, I understand the Pittsburgh.
And then you got Pittsburgh, who's always been around. They haven't had a losing season. They've never had a losing season with Mike Tomlin, so we can't just say, Pittsburgh's going to be bad. They've never had a losing season.
They got the reigning defensive player of the year in TJ Watt. They got a stud rookie running back in Najee Harris. They look like they got the best player in the draft in George Pickens. I mean, at least that's what everyone seems to be talking
He's a
about.
stud right now. He's
I mean,
he's
Studs is
pancaking
knocking
people.
over. I mean, Deontay Johnson. They got the tight end Pat from Penn State, who had a really good rookie season. Pretty solid offensive line. You know that defense is always competitive in the top 10 defenses. So, you're looking at the team. You're like, as long as the quarterback doesn't screw it up.
And their biggest issue, other than their offensive line, is recently has been Big Ben. And now they have a guy who can move in the pocket with Trubisky, can move in the pocket if Kenny Pickett.
And Kenny Pickett was good in the preseason game.
Honestly, Ted, to me, I would probably say give the rookie a go.
I wouldn't start him
why,
off with that.
Why wait?
Because
just throw him into. Look, honestly, sometimes you gotta.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. They talked about this. You want your rookie, if you can, let him sit for the first couple of weeks. Let him understand what the process is in opening day. Opening day game, the jitters are going to be out of control. He's going to have 1,000 things going on. Let him sit behind. Watch a guy like Trubisky who's been there. Go through the morning routine, getting in the stadium, getting your breakfast, going through the morning routine, going through film, getting on the field, getting your warm-ups in, coming back in, getting the pre-introductions, being on the field, the fireworks, the flyovers, waiting for all that. That's just to see him get, like, okay, this is what I do. This is the process, building on it. So then by week 4, 5, 6, it's like, all right, I'm in a good routine now. And that's how I am. You build that routine and everything else follows. But either way, this division is going to be great. It's going to be competitive. And like I said, the Ravens last year were first place in the AFC before he got hurt. And the Bengals and people forget, the Bengals only won this division at 10-7. It wasn't like they won it 11-6 or they blew everyone away. They got hot at the right time. They're going to be really good. They fixed their biggest nemesis, which was their offensive line. They have one of the best offenses with Joe Mixon, the 3 receivers on side. Joe Burrow's a stud. He'll be healthy. And the defense should be just as good. Hopefully, Jesse Bates, they figure out a way to get him on the field because but that defense should be better, and we'll see what happens. But we know in 4 weeks, the football season is going to be rocking and rolling.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is a division that's always been enticing. You've always kept your eye on because you never know what to expect. You never know if there's going to be a brawl during the game or that week. But Pittsburgh starts off with the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1, so we'll really get to see a true test. Ooh. I say with the whole Pickett thing, throw him to the Wolves. See how he goes. See how he does. Honestly, why not? My thing is quickly, and we'll get into the NFC North in just a brief sec. We know, like, all these guys, these backup quarterbacks, like Geno Smith, like, we know what Trubisky is. I know he went to the playoffs with the Bears and stuff. I get that, but we know what he is. He's not going to.
Yeah, but we have not seen Trubisky with the amount of talent that he has in Pittsburgh. He had no talent in Chicago. Just like we were talking about before, and we're going to get to it in a second. There's no talent. There's no talent in the Bears. Okay, Allen Robinson. Okay, one guy.
They won the division. If it wasn't for Cody Pickett having a double doink, you never know what could have happened with that team.
I like the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh. I think they're going to use him wisely. He's going to have an opportunity to succeed. He's going to have every opportunity. Let Pickett learn. Okay. If by week 4 or 6, Trubisky ain't cut it, put him in the backup. See you later. Next thing you know, he'll be the Giants starting quarterback next year for Brian Dable.
Quick thing about with the Bengals. Just wrote a couple key games down that they're playing. Week 1, they play the Steelers. Then they play at Dallas in week 2. Week 5, Baltimore. Week 6 at the Saints. Week 13, the Chiefs. At Tampa, week 15. Week 17, the Bills. And then they close out with Baltimore in week 18. So we're going to keep an eye on those Cincinnati Bengals because those could be one of the darlings again. I shouldn't say a darling. It could be one of the fan favorites now that can they get back to a Super Bowl? Time will tell. We'll have all those predictions later on.
Well, and here's the other thing. For the first time ever, the Bengals, like we've talked about, they snuck up on teams last year. They're not sneaking up on no one no more.
Oh, no. And guess what? They got Joey B. That's all that matters. Speaking of having a franchise quarterback and a guy that has, taken the reins of a division and has dominated a division, let's get over to the NFC North. This is a division that's been run by the Green Bay Packers' recent history. I know other than a few years, Mitchell Trubisky, like we're just talking about, won the division in 2018. And then Case Keenum and the Minnesota Vikings, if we all remember, won the division in 2017. Other than that, this division has been dominated by Aaron Rodgers, Mr. RELAX, relax guy, and Mr. all over the place, Mr. unvaccinated, Mr. weirdo, Mr. oddball. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I don't get it. I just don't get Aaron Rodgers, but this division has been dominated by Aaron Rodgers, a.k.a. the father of the Chicago Bears, Ted, because he has dominated the Chicago Bears. We look at this division, and there's not much really to say other than, can we see a team like, I think we could both sit here and say the Bears aren't going to be competing for the NFC North title this year. Is it going to be the Minnesota Vikings, or is it going to be the Detroit Lions? The Detroit Lions got something special going on. I truly believe they got something special going on. You don't hear that a lot, too, out of people's mouths, is the Detroit Lions. Look out for them. Or is it the Minnesota Vikings, a team that everybody says every year, oh, this team's got the talent to go to a Super Bowl, but they all always fall flat on their face. So, Ted, will the Packers dominate and reclaim, again, top spot with the new look Green Bay Packers? Or could we see the Vikings, the Lions, or hell, let's even say it, the Chicago Bears winning the NFC North?
You can push the Bears and the Lions to the side.
Wait. You're taking the Lions out of the way too?
You're not even
giving the Lions a chance?
They're not winning the division, but they're going to be competitive.
You're not even giving them a slim picking, like a slim chance?
No.
Wow.
I just don't think their defense is yet where it needs to be, but I like what they got on the offensive side of the ball, and I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to might win defensive rookie of the year. I think he's got the possibility. I like what they got, but here's the thing: the Packers have had a stranglehold, which I know you like that song, Ted Nugent.
Oh, Ted Nugent, baby, stranglehold. Let's go.
They've had a stranglehold on this division for the past 11 seasons. They've won 8 division titles in the last 11 seasons, 3 straight. Part of the due is because they have the back-to-back MVP in Aaron Rodgers. They also had Davante Adams, but
what do you mean? They also you had to think about Davante
Adams.
I
was trying to think of other people.
They've had the best receiver in football.
Here's the biggest questions. Kirk Cousins, it's not even a question. Kirk Cousins actually plays really well against Green Bay.
Oh, you're saying this to me.
No, but here's the thing. Will the Packers dominate? No, because I think that division is going to be much more competitive. I think, but losing a guy like Davante Adams, I don't know what they have for weapons. I need to
Christian Watson, the kid Dobbs has been lightening up in training camp.
Week 1, Green Bay plays at A&T Bank in Minnesota. Week 1, Minnesota, Green Bay. Great week matchup.
Hell yeah, always.
What?
Hell yeah, always. The skull, baby.
Minnesota always plays Green Bay's tough. And Kirk Cousins, I think, is the only quarterback that has a winning record against Green Bay, against Aaron Rodgers, or has like a 500 record. Kirk Cousins plays well against Green Bay. I don't know what it is. Can't beat anyone else. But
you just can't beat anybody else.
But here's the thing. You look at Minnesota. They should win this division this year.
Well, they got a new head coach. They got Kevin O'Connell, the former
offensive. Yeah. Love their weapons on the outside with Irv Smith, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. I think the biggest key for them is he's got to stay healthy. He's got to play at least 14 weeks this year, minimum 14, hopefully all 17. It's Dalvin Cook, bro. He's one of the better running backs in the league. He's easily a top 5 running back when he's healthy. You can make the argument he's top 3 running back in the league when he's healthy. All right? I'm drawing a blank. I can't even think. They made a move for a pass rusher in the offseason. I can't. Zadarius Smith from Green Bay.
Ex-Packer.
Now, I think Green Bay's
and Donnell Hunter would be a nice duo.
That's going to be a great duo on the outside. I like their defense. All right. The questions always comes down to Kirk Cousins, bro. Can he be consistent enough? Because it's like the Mendoza line. It's the Kirk Cousins line. It's the Matt. That's for me. That's what it is, because the talent around him is superb. Like, anybody in the league would love to play with Minnesota's talent. It's always been a question, like, why can't Minnesota get over the hump? Right? They have the talent. They have the players. Can they win this division? Absolutely. Will they? Probably not, but who knows? I think that you look at their division, you look at the first 4 weeks, they're home against Green Bay. What is it? I just had it in front of me. They're home against Green Bay. You win that first game home, you got the first game up. Then you look at the next 3 games. Detroit, New Orleans, and Chicago. All winnable games. They can go 4-0 in the first 4 weeks with the game over Green Bay. That's a huge advantage.
He's 8-17. He's 8-17 in primetime games.
I'm not worried about primetime. I'm just worried about Green
That's
Bay.
what I'm worried. When I think of primetime games, I'm not thinking Sunday night. I'm not thinking Monday night. I'm thinking about the games like the Green Bay Packers. You're playing against the new big games. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll say that only in the NFC. The Dallas Cowboys. The Los Angeles Rams. The San Francisco 49ers.
A lot of people are high on Minnesota this year. And I'm not saying figuratively.
That's the thing, Ted. Every year, it's the same same statement.
Well, I know, because
a lot of people are high on the Vikings. Exactly. So why do we continue to always put this team on a certain pedestal? Like, yes, they got the talent. They got just as great talent as some of these higher up teams in this league. Get that.
Maybe Kevin O'Connell, the new offensive coordinator, because supposedly he had issues with the former coach, all right, Mike Zimmer.
Yeah,
so
Zimmer.
Maybe the new Kevin O'Connell, the new offense, because we've seen guys, you bring in an offensive-minded coach. Hopefully Brian Dable does that for the Giants. I mean, we'll try to make that. But, you look at what Kyle Shanahan, you see what McVay's done. You see what Matt LaFleur's done in Green Bay. You've seen some of these young, innovative coaches, what they've done for the quarter. Maybe Kevin O'Connell can make Kirk Cousins be, bat like 240 instead of 220 or 200. You know what I mean? Maybe
240 ain't good enough. 240 ain't good enough. That's still
he can't if he had 40 home runs.
But that's the thing. Kirk Cousins, if you look at his stats are incredible. I'm not going to lie. His stats are great. If you want to talk fantasy purposes, Kirk Cousins, one of the best fantasy quarterbacks every year. To me, I don't care about that. I care about what do you do for me in a game like this? Yes, you beat the Packers. Sometimes you do better than other quarterbacks against Green Bay. But what do you do against the other competition, the NFC? That's who you got to go against. How are you going to handle that with all this new look offense now? Mike Zimmer is gone, and now you're going to have one of the best duos of receivers in the league in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Then you got Irv Smith Jr., who can be a electrifying tight end. We saw him in college, what he can do. Get the hands on the ball, and he's good. He's a playmaker. And then, like you said, Ted, you got Dalvin Cook, when healthy, one of the best dual threats in all of football. And you got Alexander Madison too, who's a very solid backup in this league too. He's a solid number 2 in this league. I mean, even with Devontae Adams being gone in LA now, how can I honestly go against Aaron Rodgers, who I'm not the biggest fan of at all? How can you go against that team?
I can't.
Still.
I don't, because here's the thing. We've talked about this on other shows, other situations. Great quarterbacks make average players better. I mean, I'm not telling you Wes Welker and Danny Amendola and Julian Edelman were bad players or average players, but playing with a guy like Tom Brady only makes you better. Yeah. I mean, we've seen this. Russell Wilson, great quarterbacks make average guys great. And I'm not saying they're average and it comes out that way. They were really good players. They put the work in, but we saw the difference. We saw the difference when a guy like Tom Brady had Randy Moss. You know what I mean? Like a star. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, also great receivers can make like Justin Jefferson makes Kirk Cousins look really good too. So part of that goes with the thing. But you look at the NFC North. I didn't realize this. Kevin O'Connell was the offensive coordinator for Washington when Kirk Cousins was there, and during that time, Washington had a top 10 offense during those years. So, the biggest issue with Minnesota is going to be their offensive line. I don't know if they've shored it up. I don't know if it'll be better. Don't know, because I haven't seen it yet. And I haven't seen it in a real life game. I don't count preseason games as real life. It's practice. It's for guys who's trying to make the roster. If their offensive line can be solid, this is what I would say. This team reminds me of the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe not as good as defense, but run the football, right? Run the football similar to Baker Mayfield. Run the football with Dalvin Cook. He's got to be your bell cow. And then play action with Kirk Cousins, deep throws with Justin Jefferson, and then intermediate throws with Adam Thielen. Irv Smith working the seams. They can win 10 or 11 games. I look at this division and going, how do they play the division out? Because I look at both Green Bay and Minnesota going, they're both going to be at 10 or 11 wins right there. So who wins the division, it will be determined of how they play against Chicago, Detroit, and of course themselves.
I would say the only thing I would say about this division, my last take, is that the gap has probably got a little tighter now because of
I think Detroit is a little bit better.
Well, not even that. I'm talking about Minnesota specifically because of the departure of Devontae Adams. I really think now with that subtraction out gone, that's going to play a huge hit. I know Green Bay's defense is legit. Don't get me wrong, one of the best in the game. You got.
But can I rebut that statement for 1 second though? And the way I look at it is, could this be a similar situation? I know he just won back-to-back MVPs, but could this be a similar situation like Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Is losing a great player like that can make you better because Aaron Rodgers and listen, maybe Mahomes isn't like this, but Aaron Rodgers sometimes fell in love. It's like a pitcher falls in love with his best pitch all the time and got beat with it. He always fell in love with Devontae Adams, had no trust for anything else. So by losing Devontae Adams, he's going to have to build a better rapport with his overall team than just himself and Devontae. So I don't know if that'll make him better. We will find out. But I'll tell you, don't bet against Aaron Rodgers either, man. The guy's still phenomenal, and he is the back-to-back MVP.
I get that. He'll go down as probably one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks of all time. That's all he'll be. Nothing else. Sorry, all you Rodgers lovers out there, but Aaron Rodgers is not in the discussion of greatest quarterback of all time. So stop it, please. Move on. Get over yourself. Anyways, just be careful with the Detroit Lions. Just watch out. You never know. You never know because they got something special brewing. I really do believe the Detroit Lions got something special brewing. Shout out to our boy Bill Zulo, the only Detroit Lion fan I actually know in this world. Actually. Hey, he loves the Detroit Lions. Give him credit. There's not many Detroit Lion fans out in this area.
Baltimore Orioles or Pittsburgh Pirates too for baseball.
I don't know if I don't know. I think he might be a Baltimore Oriole fan. I don't know yet. But what's bad about being a Baltimore Oriole fan right now? They're doing well for themselves. Speaking of they are. And guess what? They could be making a playoff appearance this year, the Baltimore Orioles. But
I think they won again last night. I think they beat the Red Sox.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, talk about a team that's red hot is the Baltimore Orioles, but a team that is complete opposite, going the exact wrong way at the wrong time is our New York Yankees right now. And I wish Joseph Aguirre was here, but he is on vacation. Like I said, he'll be back next week to join us and discuss more New York Yankee baseball. The New York Mets are red hot. The New York Yankees are having the summer blues as we currently speak on August 16th. They are currently, one of the worst teams in the pre-All-Star break, being 7-14 since that, or post-All-Star break, 7-14. At that time, they were 64-28, the best record in baseball by far. This team, I don't know, Ted. Offense is awful. The pitching staff has been doing their part. It's just their offense has been struggling drastically, mightily. I had a very simple question. I put this right here, Ted, to say the Yankees' level of concern is. I'm going to ask you, out of the concern level, 1 to 10, Yankees level of concern for you is what?
7. 7.5.
7.5.
Keep it up. It might go to 8. 8. How many fingers am I holding?
Well, how many fingers am I holding up, Marv?
I just 8. Okay, so I sent you a bunch of stuff, and while you were talking, I was just making sure I was correct. You look at the Yankees. They had a stellar start to the season, right? And that's part of the reason why they had such a huge lead. With the first like 50 games, they were like 35-15. They were just playing unbelievable baseball. And then I sent you a stat last night. Last 50 games, they're 24-26. They're below 500. They've been shut out. Now I got to add that to last night's list. 4 of their last 10 games. I mean, their offense which has been awful since the All-Star game. I sent you a couple stats to make sure I'm correct on Glaber, which I know he got a hit last night. Up until last night.
You got a hat? What kind of hat?
Well, tonight, I got to tell you. I'll tell you
the Yankee cap? Is it cap night at Yankee Stadium tonight?
Tomorrow night. Yeah, that's tomorrow night. And Dad's going to the game.
Is he?
He's going Uncle Bernard, Uncle Glenn, and Uncle Mike.
Oh wow, that's a deadly. That's awesome. Good for
I'm shocked. But
hopefully they get a win for him. Hopefully they get a win.
Well, honestly, we need a win badly. I mean, I sent you the thing. Since the All-Star game, now I know he got a hit last night, but Glaber was 0 for 22 in his last 22 at bats. Rizzo, I forgot what he did last night, but he was 1 for 14 since returning from injury. Yeah, I know that. That was epic. But that was because listen, I know Yankee fans are going to hate this take, but if you're trying to get away from the ball, you back your legs up. He stuck his leg into the ball, bro. You could tell he stuck his knee out. And then, in a way, I kind of do feel bad, but I don't feel bad because I've knocked on him since day one. Hicks, man, he was 5 for his last 50.
No, never change your mind. You got to stick to who you are.
Listen, I watched the interview last night on Yes Network, and I'm like, the man looks like he's gonna cry. I mean, you could tell. I know you didn't watch the game last night, but it was the 5th inning. The bases are loaded. It was 1 out. It was like a 2-2 count, and he got it off the end of the bat. He had a dribbler to the pitcher. Pitcher comes home to first, double play, end of the inning. He gets booed out of mind. You can just look at his face like, you want to say every swear word in the book, you just want to lose it. I mean, you kind of feel bad because he's trying. It's not like he's not trying. These guys are professional athletes. They're human beings. We expect them to be great all the time. They are such in a funk. Last time you watched Garrett Cole's interview, they're asking him what's wrong. They have no words. Joe and us, we went back and forth in our little group talking about things. But somebody other than Aaron Judge has to step up. Someone, anyone. I mean, Donaldson, I sent you a thing last night. Donaldson, he's been awful. He's been awful. He was great 5 years ago. I didn't really like the trade in the offseason, whatever. His bat, which I thought
First of all, Ovi, hold on, Ovi. They're not going to make the playoffs by a slim margin. They're still struggling and have a 10-game lead. That's not a slim margin.
Well,
go back to watching the Red Sox lose 28-5.
Tell me to go back to wrestling. Just tell him to watch his wrestling show.
Just watch the
What's his wrestling show? What's Ovi's wrestling show?
Oh, H&H. You got to watch the Triple H.
H&H wrestling, baby.
H&H
Check out
show.
Ovi on.
Our boy Ovi. He's got something going over there. But the Yankees are not. But the Yankees are not making the playoffs.
Listen, there we
show.
go.
We got you.
There we go. We'll post that right there. There you go. There's my boy Ovi.
Check him out on Twitter. Check him out clovercrestmedia.com, Facebook, YouTube, all the same as us. Check it out.
Yeah, if you're into wrestling, loves it, goes to all the events. So
he's a passionate fan, just like us.
With that being said, as bad as the Yankees have played, the Astros have kind of tumbled a little bit lately. The Blue Jays have not played really good baseball, because if the Jays had played good baseball, this league could be down to 5 games. Now, they got a 4-game strip. The Yankees finished with the next 2 days at the Rays, home.
Yep.
And they got 4 games against the Blue Jays, and then we got 2 games against the Mets. This 9-game homestand is going to be, not that the last 9 games or 11 games were a concern. They were 2-9 on the road trip. Got shut out 3 times. The Cardinals swept them. The Red Sox beat them. Everyone's beating the Yankees right now. The level of concern should be almost to a 10, because here's the thing, but it's not a 10 because it's August. Baseball, if you listen to the shows last night in the baseball shows, every great baseball team goes through these ruts.
Of course.
But the Yankees right now, their rut is a little bit longer prolonged. They got to get out of it soon, because don't want to be going into September baseball with this kind of stuff going on. I'll use it correct. Whatever's going on. Can't really explain it. Don't know how to explain it. The offense is just tumbled. No one is hitting. Garrett Cole's last 2 outings, 13 innings pitched, 0 run support. That's not his fault. Can't do nothing about it. Me, you, and Joe used to argue about this about DeGrom. Guy goes 7 innings, doesn't give up a run, and the team doesn't score. How do you blame DeGrom? So I use that same metaphor. The Yankees closer, Clay Holmes, is back to reality. He is falling off. So that's an issue. I sent you the video last night. The hitting is not there right now. Clay Holmes is not where he was in the beginning of the season.
Yep.
And other than Garrett Cole, are you confident enough in the rest of the rotation going into the playoffs? I am not.
I'm going to give the level of concern at a 4.
Whoa.
The Clay Holmes, I actually have 3 blown saves in the last 11 games, Ted. 2 of them in the previous 38 games. Ovi, I'll get to your question in a sec. I will answer that. They did once have a nice, comfortable lead in the AL, but they're now 2.5 games back of those Astros. And since July 22nd, the night that Michael King got injured, which now looking back, it could be a huge, devastating loss moving forward, the Yankees have not secured a lead with 3 runs or fewer since. So this bullpen has been struggled, but I'm still going to give it a 4. They got the injuries. They're dealing with some injuries. They still have the comfortable lead. My biggest thing for them is, you just said it, Ted. It's baseball. It's a long, long season. We as Yankee fans this year, specifically this year, have almost become accustomed to being spoiled, hoping, oh, well, they're going to just win because of the New York Yankees. They just continue to win, and they're not losing. So we're just going to win. That's also the other problem. We were talking, even us, we were doing it multiple times. Oh, the Yankees, they could break the 114, 116 game all-time record. Like, that doesn't happen a lot nowadays. That doesn't. It just doesn't happen. I know the Dodgers have almost did it a couple years back, but this is a team that, yes, growing pains. They have to figure it out. My biggest concern is, that I always have been saying since the day it happened, is Aaron Boone. I don't know if he's the right manager for this team. And I've been saying it for years, and you and Joe have been always going after me and trying to give him a chance. You know what I mean? You guys have it's always felt like you two have been more in agreement than I have with Aaron Boone, and I'm just not.
And now I'm trying to come on your side, because this is where the manager has to step up and give someone a kick in the ass.
It took 4 years. It took, how long did it take? 4 or 5 years for it? That's what I'm trying to say.
A guy that wins 100 games, and I would say here's the other thing.
I get that, but with the New York game,
the Yankees
I get that. He's won 100 games. But he hasn't been to an ALCS. No, it's not. It's not good enough. They've never been to an ALCS with they have been. They lost. But my point is, they won. Yes, I get it. They lost with the Altuve walk-off. My thing is it all comes down to the manager. I know the hitting has been putrid. I get it. But this is you need a manager
But Trev,
I
if
can see the Mets if the Mets hold on
the
if the Mets like Buck Showalter. That's why I feel when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, my biggest concern about the Yankees and the biggest difference with the Yankees and the Mets, yeah, the pitching staff for the Mets is incredible. That's just they're better than everybody else. It's the Buck Showalter effect. Buck is that type of fiery, intense type manager. And he likes to have fun. Boone is the typical 2020 guy. He's laid back. He's quiet. He doesn't. We don't have any Hold on. We don't have any emotion anymore because America is just like that. We're all soft nowadays. We gotta not hurt everybody's feelings.
Yeah, but did you hear Jeter on the K-Rod show the other night?
I did not hear that.
Okay, so you didn't watch that. So when they told me Jeter was I switched over from the regular to the K-Rod Jeter show. Yeah. Well, K-Rod show, but I wanted to see Jeter with them because it was good. Yeah. And they were asking about Buck, and Jeter was like, well, I didn't really get to play with Buck. I came up and I had him in spring training, and I played a little bit in 95. But he goes, when I look at Buck as a savvy guy, a guy who looks at the baseball game in fast forward, meaning he looks at what the second, third, and fourth options are going to be. He's already thinking ahead. He's thinking 2-3 steps ahead, where sometimes I wonder if Boone – and I'm not saying Boone's a bad manager. He's a good manager.
I think he overthinks way too much. Ted.
Here's the thing. Maybe he doesn't overthink. Maybe he thinks in the moment and doesn't go where Buck is like, I'm okay. If this happens, I'm gonna do this. If that, you know what I mean? Like some people just live in the moment. You know, where I'm very like, I gotta plan everything out. I'm gonna think about this, and people are like, Ted, just let it come to you. Well, maybe he ain't like that. But right now, you can see the difference of what he has done for the Mets. You could see now. I know the Mets got beat last night 13-1, but the Mets are the best team right now in the NL, especially last night. I don't know if you saw Walker Buehler out for the season.
Done for the year.
Huge that's a big loss.
Oh yeah. LV, to answer your question, we talked about this last week with Joe. If the Yankees do not win the World Series or even make the World Series, Aaron Boone should be fired, and I think Brian Cashman's job should be in the discussions. I will give you that answer. Aaron Boone should be fired without question. With the way this team started off and has been playing throughout pretty much up until this past about a month or so, Aaron Boone should be fired, and Brian Cashman's job should be discussed.
It won't be and he won't get fired.
Cashman probably won't get fired, but to me, I get 100%. That's what I'm saying. It should be in discussion because he has brought over Donaldson. He has brought in IKF, his biggest moment coming in.
Well, he's the one that just traded Montgomery for a guy hurt. Now, I get he might be. Listen, if you read Kay's show, they're talking about Bader being the center fielder for the playoffs and next season. So that means they're going to probably move on for Hicks if Hicks will be the fourth outfielder.
That's another thing. He
gave Hicks trade. He has not done one thing positive
Hicks got the big contract. That was on him. My thing is, that's what happens.
Montgomery trade hasn't worked. Donaldson hasn't worked. He's also one that traded for Joey Gallo, which you said was awful on day one. I was like, well, maybe he'll hit some home runs and play good defense. It was a huge miss. All right.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't like to be right, but man, it feels good to be right.
When a man is right, he's right.
It feels good to be right, and usually I'm right all the time. No, I'm just kidding.
On certain things.
For me. Yankees concern level, yeah, it's a struggle. The offense has looked putrid. The bullpen, Clay Holmes has looked kind of back to life now. I'm gonna stick at a 4. I'm gonna go to a 4 and just wait and see because you're gonna get Stanton back. To me is the most important player on this team. And Carpenter will come back. Severino, hopefully, maybe. I don't know if Severino is going to be back. You're going to get Britton back. That bullpen will be shored back up. The pitching staff. All of that will be figured out. To me, my biggest concern is not the Yankees team. It's the manager because Aaron Boone, again, has my head going nuts sometimes. That's all I'm going to say. Yankee fans, as Aaron Rodgers once said, RELAX.
I don't know if we can relax, though, man.
Relax. It's August 16th.
That because of the 10-game lead? That's why
I'm saying it because the 10-game lead, it's a struggle and it's baseball, Ted. We talk. That's the thing. It's baseball. It's 162 games. It's not 130, 120 games. The season's not over. There's still another 40 games left. The Yankees will figure it out. They're going to get back to it. To me, it just comes down to Aaron Boone. I need to see some fire. I need to see something Because your time as Yankee manager, I don't care if they gave you an extension. Your time as manager, if you don't get to a World Series, or I should say if you don't win a World Series, hell, if you don't even get to the World Series, well, Aaron Boone, you're going to be looking for another job because that's the facts of life.
Can I give you a little stat quick just to finish off with this, and then you can end it? On June 29th, the Yankees had 56 wins. 56 wins. Excuse me. Wins. No other team in baseball had more than 47 on June 29th. The Yankees today have 72 wins. Still the fourth best record in baseball. But when you consider at that time, they had an 8-game lead over Houston for the best record in the AL. And now the Astros have
the second best team in New York right now.
Second best
team in New York, and the Dodgers are on a roll.
Dodgers are eight games above the Yankees. All right, it's an 18. The Dodgers were 9 games back of the Yankees in late June for the best record. Now they have a 9-game lead over the Yankees. That's
and Joey Gallo's playing well for the Dodgers, by the way.
Yeah.
Too. So,
and then like you said, what has gone wrong in the last few weeks? Let's see. Stanton's injury. DJ's hurt too right now, dealing with a toe foot injury. Carpenter's out. Severino's out. Michael King's out. Chad Green's out. Harrison Bader's out. Rizzo just missed. Glaber's batting 157. And August, and Clay Holmes.
That's what I'm trying to say. They have a lot of injuries, so they're going to get all these guys back. They're going to get them right back into the perfect time.
This is what I was going to say. Finish off with this is when people said when we were talking about how Aaron Judge wasn't the MVP. It almost says how much more important Aaron Judge has been to this team.
I think, it just gives him much more of a unanimous decision to win MVP because if he's not on this team, oh my God.
Well, and Trev, here's the other thing. Ovi wants to add something to that thing. What happens if the Yankees don't win the World Series? What happens if Aaron Judge doesn't get signed with the Yankees? That's the bigger deal, maybe. What's bigger, the Yankees World Series or Aaron Judge leaving? I think it'd be hand in hand. If the Yankees don't win the World Series and don't make the World Series, Judge could leave.
The Yankees need to win a World Series.
Oh, I know that.
That's it.
They haven't won one in 13 years.
That's top priority. That's top priority no matter what happens. Everything else will handle itself after and play itself out after that. The Yankees got to win a World Series, Ted. That's the most important thing. Can't go another year if the Yankees not winning, especially with the way they started off and been playing and for the entirety up until the last couple weeks.
They were on pace for 120 wins. Because now they're on pace for maybe 100.
And we've got accustomed to thinking that was going to happen. But it's baseball. It's a long season. A lot can happen. And the Yankees have a strong. Hey, as long as they're not doing it another month and a half, I'm okay with it. So my level of concern is 4. Ted's at a 7.5. Ladies and gentlemen, we are signing off. We'll be back next week to the recap more MLB New York Yankees baseball. And plus, we'll be continuing our conference previews. And then we'll have in the next coming weeks, we'll be having our NFL preview show because it's right around the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Keys of the City. We are on all social media platforms at Keys of the City. So comment, like, subscribe, or share. We'll see you next episode. We are out. Oh.
You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.